Hey, what's going on, everybody? You're watching Cortex Zero. I'm Posthuman, aka Tom, aka the guy who probably should have had this video out, a couple days ago. Um, I wanted to get this video out earlier, but there were some things that I had to do. I'm tired. I worked a really long day today. It's been a crazy week, especially work-wise. The next 3 weeks are gonna be crazy. I have a lot of content that I have to work on and edit for the channel. I'm gonna try to do a stream today and tomorrow, so hopefully you guys will be here for that. The reason that you're seeing this at the beginning of the clip is because the video itself, the beginning of it got cut off by like 30 seconds, so there's some stuff missing, so I had to trim it down, and I'm kind of just making a little just random intro for it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. This is the buffs and nerfs and game mechanics video that I told you guys I wanted to do, and I hope you enjoy it. So let's just get right into it. So we're on Boba Fett. We're just going to run through all the characters, and we're going to talk about what everybody needs. So Boba Fett has gone through a lot of interesting changes. Maybe not too many, but significant. The one thing that always comes to mind is Rocket Barrage. At one point, it seemed like it was too powerful. Now it seems like it's probably not powerful enough. So my suggestion would be, why don't you buff Rocket Barrage, maybe not quite back to what it was, maybe just below it, or you bring it back to exactly where it was, and you just say, hey, let's increase the cooldown time. Let's tack on a few extra seconds that you have to wait because of how powerful it is. I think also giving him, the ability to aim down his sight would probably be best. Create a function where you're actually able to do that even while jetpacking. It would make sense, right? You would think a character like this would be able to use a scope. And maybe just tweak his maneuverability a bit, because sometimes it feels like when you want to dodge in midair, it doesn't feel as responsive as it should be sometimes, which is unfortunate. Like if I get pulled by Anakin and I try to hit circle to kind of pull myself out of his grasp before he's able to hit me with heroic might, sometimes it just doesn't work, like it just doesn't work. So for whatever reason that's going on, that'd be a nice fix, but there's not really too much to say about Boba Fett aside from that. Now BOSSK, a lot of people think, and I haven't played the first Battlefront, there's not much I would change with BOSSK other than I think it was Sith that mentioned the other day that giving him the gun that he had in the first Battlefront would be interesting, but I can't really speak to that. I didn't play it. I guess I really wouldn't change much about BOSSK, honestly. Some people wish he still had the jump that he used to have. I wouldn't mind them reverting back to that so much. Maybe, toning it down just a little bit, but maybe just taking this jump that he has now and increasing it slightly, like halfway back to what it was. That wouldn't be too bad. But otherwise, he's pretty powerful. Some people think that Predator Instinct should get nerfed. I don't necessarily agree. You can easily take out a BOSSK if you really want to. If you're really getting close and get behind him, you could take him out. So there's not much that I can really say about BOSSK, honestly. CHEWBACCA's another one that's kind of like, there's some uncertainty there too. Obviously they reworked him. I used to like how you were able to hold L2, I think it was, or no, you would hold R2 and you would charge up his shot, and it would, it would be all 5 shots instead of just 1. I think it was 5, right? You had to hold it and do it. So it was almost like you had Fury's bowcaster whenever you wanted, but it was at a slower pace, you could say. I do wish they would bring back the jumping charge slam, because I haven't been using him lately, but apparently that's not in the game anymore, where you could hop and then do it. So if that's the case, which it sounded like it was, I would like for them to bring that back, and maybe reanimate some of his melees, make them look a little bit more powerful, a little bit more fluid. It looks a little choppy sometimes. otherwise, I don't really have too many complaints about Chewbacca. Now, some people say that sometimes the star cards don't work too, so that's something that should be patched, obviously, but I haven't had any issues. And sometimes the shock grenade, actually, in my experience, even when it lands next to certain enemies, it doesn't seem to work, so that's something they should really work on. Now, this is where things are going to get interesting, right? Darth Vader. So obviously we're getting a nerf in the next patch for the game. They're going to reduce the damage that is done by his lightsaber throw. And you're also going to have, I do believe it's a split. If you're choking multiple enemies, I do believe the damage is going to be split between those enemies. I don't mind that. I had other ideas though. I said maybe we should take Vader's focus rage and increase cooldown time for that, so you have to wait longer for it. I also have said that if he is in the middle of choking anyone, that because he is able to block and he's able to attack, he should have a reduction to how much damage he actually does, since he's already in the middle of choking, and how much stamina he has during the choke. So it gives you a chance to actually land some shots on him while he's in the middle of it. He is so powerful. He's over the top. It's fun to play, obviously, but he's got to be toned down a bit. I mean, when we're playing the game and we're playing a tough team, it's kind of expected that the dark side's going to win at this point. I mean, we beat the dark side plenty of times each day, but there is a significant difference in difficulty when facing a team that is Darth Vader. So, I mean, he should be powerful, just like Anakin should be powerful, but he's got to be toned down a bit. But I think after this next update, it'll probably make a big difference. You don't want to do too much, though. You know, you don't want to go too far into it, and then you end up with what you have, like with Anakin. But that's pretty much it for. Obviously, he's already had some nerfs. I guess the one problem that everyone seems to have with him, and I tend to agree, is how slippery he is, right? He gets away from you seemingly at will. It seems like sometimes he dodges abilities and swings that he really shouldn't be able to. Obviously, he's got to be somewhat elusive. He doesn't have a block, so he needs to be quick, and he needs to have the ability to get away from everyone. But I think they need to tighten it up a little bit. That's the one thing I would change about Palpatine, is that there are situations where I should be able to land a shot on him, but for some reason the game just says, nah, fuck that, you're not landing a shot. So if they could change that, I'd probably be pretty happy with him, or maybe slightly reduce his dodge distance. But he's got to be able to evade and escape, otherwise he becomes this clumsy, wrinkly nutsack of a character that it just becomes pretty useless. You know, aside from how much damage he can do. But if you're able to catch him, like, easily, you know, it's bad enough when he has to go up against, you know, like a Leia or a Lando, or even a Finn. But I think they should just make it just a little tighter on you know, the hit detection. Like, if I'm chasing him and I swing my lightsaber, sometimes it goes through him and it just doesn't do any damage. He's got to take some damage from that. Just tighten that up a little bit and it should be fine. I don't have too much to complain about him anymore. It used to be so much worse, obviously. Now, my good buddy Han Solo. There he is. Han Solo. Oh, how I hate Han Solo in this game sometimes when I'm fighting against him. I've gotten better using him, but man, does this character piss me off sometimes.
Great kid. Don't get cocky.
See, he's already talking shit. So, I still think they got to do something with his grenade. I really do. I mean, just if you want to keep the damage that it has, I still think you got to wait a little longer to use it. There's not too much else you could say. I think, well, maybe consistency with shoulder charge, right? So there's times where I'm blocking it and it still knocks me down. And then there are times where I'm blocking it and it doesn't knock me down. Let's get that cleaned up. And, you know, again, I think this goes for all shooters. If he's rolling, you know, there are times where it's ridiculous how he is able to evade certain swings, even though it seems like it's making contact with him, even when he's rolling. But then there are times when you are playing as him, and there are times where you roll. And this goes for all shooters in the game, actually. This is a game mechanics issue. You'll roll to evade an ability, and it still catches you. It's inconsistent. They need to work on the consistency with dodging abilities, with hitting circle, rolling out of the way of a force move, any ability really that you can evade. It needs to be cleaned up. It needs to be tightened up. There are times where, you know, I'll literally time it a certain way. I will roll to avoid, say, Kylo's freeze or even Darth Vader's choke, and it still catches me, even though I roll it at the perfect time. So I think that's something they gotta fix. I think you guys probably already know what I'm gonna say about this. IDEN's secondary fire is a problem. It is absolutely absurd when you have someone who's actually good at using IDEN. It's unstoppable, it's unblockable. So what do you do? I mean, there's a couple things you could do. You could do all of them at once, and I wouldn't mind it. The splash damage radius needs to be brought down, and the amount of damage it does can stay the same, but I should have to wait longer in between shots. You bring down the splash damage, and you increase the time in between shots. Give her a new star card. You know what I mean? Like, I know I have it equipped. Yeah, alternative methods. Maybe bring that down so it's like 5%, 10%, 15%. You know, maybe make an adjustment to that star card. That probably wouldn't be too bad. This is a good setup for item, by the way. As you can see, it's pretty evened out based on the secondary fire and her primary weapon and the droid. Another thing too is that I think her shield should be able to take a couple swings from a lightsaber, honestly. Once someone closes in on her, it just feels like she's defenseless if they have a lightsaber sometimes. And they know what they're doing. So that wouldn't be so bad. I wouldn't mind them doing that. Like, you can take, like, you know, 2 swings from a lightsaber before it cuts down your shield. That would probably be pretty great. Kylo. Obviously, my main of mains. This is the character that I use the most in the game. Him and Luke. He's getting a nerf, and I really don't mind it, honestly. I don't really think they need to change anything with Kylo, honestly. Not really. No, I mean, there are a few characters in this game that I can really say that about. If I had, I guess, one suggestion, if I really had to come up with one, you know, maybe it'd be more of a game mechanics thing. Sometimes, you know, I'll be fighting against Kylo and I'll parry him and it still does damage, even though I know I'm parrying, and the timing is spot on. So I guess that's a game mechanics thing, though, and that can happen with multiple characters. So that's kind of an across the board thing. I like Kylo where he's at. I like that he can break the block with the last swing. It makes Frenzy super useful. So Lando. So I've gotten way better with Lando as of late, but I still have one complaint. His sharp shot ability shuts off for no reason sometimes. I'll tap R1 and L1 together, and next thing you know, it just shuts off. No, I think it needs better detection. And I would replace Smoke Grenade with something a little bit more useful. You know, maybe it should be some kind of buff for your team. That wouldn't be so bad, you know, something to do with like speed and damage reduction, but get rid of that Smoke Grenade. I mean, it's practically useless at times, you know. I know it like brings down the hit detection if you're in the middle of it and a lightsaber character is chasing you. You got a villain on your ass, but nah, man. I mean, I know I use it, but that's just because I don't have a choice. It's there. Moving on, we got Leia. So Leia's obviously a lot better than she used to be, and I gotta say, I think they gotta bring down the E11 a little bit. I was thinking that maybe its rate of fire should be brought down, or you could take it and the amount of time that the E11 is active should be brought down a little bit. I mean, it's on for a long time, honestly. It feels that way. I would honestly leave the thermal detonators because they kind of bounce all over the place and you're able to evade them pretty easily. I like the squad shield. I like what that does. But it's not too much for her. I think she's in a good spot. And the primary weapon, you know, I don't have any real issues with that. Yeah, I think the E11 needs to be toned down just a little bit, you know, and I think it would be pretty much perfect at that point. And here's another character that I just don't think needs to be really touched. This is, you know, Luke Skywalker. I like where he's at. I like the speed. I like how balanced his abilities are. But I'll say this: bring back the double jump. I want to be able to jump into the air, and I want to be able to, you know, press L1, and I'll be able to, you know, kind of increase my jump. That was fun. It allowed us to do interesting and unique things in the game that we couldn't do before. You know, kind of save yourself from jumping off the map even. Bring that back. Bring back the Luke double jump using push. Please bring that back. That was so great. Darth Maul. One of my favorite Star Wars characters. Now, and sorry, I'm hitting my vape, but again, I mean, you guys are used to this, so I don't think it's really bothering anybody. So it's pretty simple for him. Increase his health, okay? Not by too much. Maybe give him like 25 to 50 extra health. And increase his damage, I would say, probably by like 5 or 10 a hit. And I think Maul is good right there. It's not really, it's nothing too drastic. Oh, and also, give him the skin that he should have gotten. The cloak. Where is cloaked Darth Maul? Why is that not in this game? It's on PC because of modding. And if you guys are wondering what I mean by that, to be more specific, there's the scene where Darth Maul jumps out and attacks Qui-Gon on Tatooine in The Phantom Menace. That outfit. I want that. Alright? It's pretty badass. You know, he looks like the devil incarnate. Like, just give us that skin. Alright? It can't be that hard. Rey. You know, obviously it's interesting what they did with her dash strike. And then you could say the same thing about Grievous's claw rush. Obi-Wan's defensive rush. You know, moves like that. Rey, sometimes she feels like she's not doing enough damage. So maybe a slight damage buff. Maybe nothing too drastic. And then of course this one's just kind of a bonus. Give her a fourth ability and give her Force Lightning. Like, Anakin takes a certain amount of damage and then he's able to use Retribution. For Rey, maybe it's after she does a certain amount of damage she can then unleash, you know, some kind of chain lightning move. That would be amazing, but besides that, I wouldn't change too much with Rey, honestly. Just sometimes she feels a little weaker than she should be, you know, if you're dueling, especially. She's good against certain characters, but there are times where it feels like she could be a little bit more powerful than she is. So let's see what we have next. Yoda. You know, Yoda's interesting because I'm pretty decent with him, but I kind of feel like he should be reworked. I think they need to improve how Unleash functions. Sometimes it feels a little wonky. I don't mind presence, but then I hear a lot of complaints that they think that, you know, people think that dash attack needs to be nerfed because you can just go through blocks and just wear you down at will. So, and it always seems like it's impossible to parry. So maybe they could leave Yoda as he is, but just allow you to parry his dash attack a little bit, you know, like actually consistently. I don't know. I think maybe reworking him and just changing his abilities altogether would be best, honestly. And that would be up to the game developers as far as what they would want to do with that. I couldn't really tell you what I would honestly want. I would rather be surprised. I don't use him that much, honestly, unless I really have to. So, Finn. So obviously he's got the Deadeye aimbot maneuver. You know, obviously, we're not going to touch that because you get rid of Finn's Deadeye, and what is he? You know, he's an assault class character. I've heard some people say they think he needs a little bit more health. You know, maybe. But I do think they should take Undercover Team and just change it to something. I don't know, like a grenade or something. I don't really like it that much. I mean, I do decently with it, but it's just kind of there, and it doesn't feel super useful. It feels useful if I need to reload my gun and I have someone just running right at me and I need to quickly continue shooting. But aside from that, I mean, not really. As you can see what it does. It says equipping is trusty GLIE 44. Finn leads his allies behind enemy lines, granting increased sprint speed, cover from enemy radars, and awareness of enemy locations. So, something I've noticed in this game, when the radar gets scrambled, you see that it's scrambled, so you kind of feel like you know they're coming, so you start looking around anyways. So what I was thinking they should do is take that aspect of it, the cover from enemy radars, and just make his blip disappear from radar. And maybe even your whole team for a few seconds. Just boop, just get rid of him. No flashing or anything, just make it disappear. It's less noticeable to your eye, so you may not see it until it's too late. I think that would be helpful. And apparently Undercover Team only affects his teammates and not him. That's one major change. If you're going to leave that ability as is and not change it to something else completely, you should take it and have it apply to him as well. You know, the sprint speed and everything. That would, at that point, I'd be like, all right, why not? Because I know a lot of people that like, they like the way that that Finn operates, but I don't know. Again, I feel like he could be improved. PHASMA. Interesting. I don't know how I necessarily feel about the staff strikes not really needing a cooldown. Doesn't seem like it's creating too much of a problem, but it is interesting. I wouldn't change too much with her, except there was one thing I said they should do with her that would change her meta. When she puts down her droid, I was thinking that it blows up after 60 seconds, and she has to relocate, or, you know, it causes her to have to put it down again. Like, it would function like Leia's squad shield, right? She puts it down, she uses it, it disappears after a minute. It's got to recharge, and then she can use it again. At that point, she's super vulnerable, right? So maybe while she's waiting for it, she receives, like, you know, damage reduction. I don't know, something. Maybe just to even it out, but I wouldn't change too much with her at this point. I used to hate Phasma, but she grew on me, and I'm actually pretty good at using her now, so. Grievous. I always said that maybe they should bring up Grievous's stamina and bring down how much damage he does per swing. Just a little bit. Just tighten things up a little bit. And it's really not too much for him that I would even change besides that. I can say something similar about Dooku when we get to him, but I wouldn't really mess with him too much. Except Claw Rush, being that he can go like in a crazy circle now. I know a lot of people hate that, but I really don't know how else you would change that so that it's pleasing to the person using him and not necessarily frustrating to the other player. So that's a tough one. If you have any suggestions, definitely leave them down in the comments section. Obi-Wan is another interesting one. I like where he's at, but the way he functions, people tend to block spam with him. So I was thinking maybe you take Defensive Rush and give him something a little bit more powerful. You know, like Luke has Repulse. Maybe it should be something like that, or like just something a little bit more offensive. I know he's a defensive player, but that's his mechanic, right? You tend to block with him and parry a lot. I was also thinking that maybe all-out push should be a little bit faster, because there's a lot of times where I have to charge it up and it's too late. I'm already getting attacked. But besides that, I like where Obi-Wan is, and I think they did a good job, at least with where defensive rush is at now compared to what it was. Let's see, who do we have next? Count Dooku. And then we have our last few characters. So Count Dooku is similar to Grievous. I would bring down how much damage he's doing, but I would bring up his damage reduction. Just balance it out a little bit more. Sometimes his animations look really silly. They're like too fast. And, you know, if you're a shooter and Dooku hits you from the back, I mean, you're dead really, really quick. So, I don't know. I think he needs to be reworked, personally. You know, a lot of people really don't like exposed weakness. So, what I would do is kind of combine Duelist and exposed weakness into one move. So, Duelist should have a longer wait. Should take a lot longer to recharge, but when you are able to use it, he'll be able to, you know, he'll change his fighting stance, he'll swing faster, and he'll do more damage, and the enemy will also take more damage. It'll all be one move. Lightning Stun's good where it is, but it needs, maybe they need to increase the range on it just a tiny bit. But then that leaves us with R1. If we get rid of exposed weakness and kind of combine Duelist and exposed weakness into one move, I don't know, I was thinking maybe something like what Luke has, where it's kind of like a rush attack, or like a combo chain move, where I had this idea where buttons will, like R1 will pop up on the screen in succession, kind of almost like Guitar Hero. We got to hit the buttons at the right time, and if you do it, you'll perform a really powerful chain combo of lightsaber swings. I thought that would be kind of like an interesting functionality. It would be a very, very unique ability in the game that would feel it would feel very exclusive to Dooku because of his fighting style and everything. But you know, I don't use him much. Again, I kind of feel like he needs to be changed. Oh, Mara, look at that! I'm getting a party invite just in time. And again, this is really simple. There's only one thing that they need to do. Undo his last stamina nerf. That stamina reduction that he was given, you get rid of that, Anakin's perfect. You leave him right there. I mean, it's just that simple. It feels like Anakin needs a goddamn glass of water after 5 lightsaber swings. Please, please fix this. Anakin was perfect where he was before. I really liked where he was. And I know there are a lot of people bitching and, you know, about Galactic and everything. Too bad. Too bad, honestly, because, you know, there are plenty of other characters in the game that can take him out and could take him out. They just happen to be in matches where Anakin was getting first place. You know? Bring back the stamina that we had with Anakin before, or at least 75% of what it was, and I'll be happy. But he was perfect before the last nerf, I thought. Then that leaves us with the droids. BB-8 and BB-9A. Honestly, the way they function, they need to just be where they are. I know some people hate cable spin, and they think it's too powerful. But if you, I mean, think about BB-8. If you get rid of cable spin, he's like useless at that point. So I would leave BB-8 and BB-9A, honestly. I think they just need to stay where they're at. I'm able to deal with them. I don't have a problem with it personally. I like where they're at. So don't make any changes to them. And as far as game mechanics are concerned, you know, hit detection and blocking are the two biggest things. Make it so that if I hit L2, you need to reduce the delay between me hitting the button and the game realizing that I'm blocking, because there are times where I have timed it so perfectly and it just didn't matter. And then of course hit detection, the hitbox cheese as I call it, fix that. Make it more accurate. If my lightsaber comes in contact with that character, it does damage. You know, I shouldn't be going through characters and it just doesn't do anything. But you know, I'm sure we can expand upon all of this in another video, but I just wanted to throw this one out to you guys for now. Thank you for watching. Of course, leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you like what you're seeing. Check out the podcast. show your support through the Patreon if you really feel like doing that. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and tune into the next live stream.